There you are. Hey, and here I am. It's Kurt Von Onen, your host of the Mañana daily check-in. I'm not going to use the term morning check-in right now because it is the evening already. Today has been just a whirlwind of a day and got a lot of things done, super productive, lots of good meetings. But here we are, just finished dinner, and I thought, okay, I'm still awake. Let's make the messaging while we can. And so had even lost my voice a little bit today with all the talking, but had a really, really good meeting with a new client for building an e-learning site for them. The cool part about this is that they're using the e-learning platform, the e-learning product to host live training sessions, and it wasn't that long ago really where that wasn't an option. It wasn't something that you could just, plug and play, build a WordPress site on a budget and have at it. Not long ago, it took a lot of special tools, special equipment, special software, custom designs, custom development. You needed to use something like I think it was Chalkboard back in the day, had the ability to add some live sessions and stuff like that. But anyway, I digress. It was really cool to have a conversation with them and then talk about, even though you're doing a live event, what are the support materials that go with the live event and what's the advantages of having a learning management system in place. So it was a really fun discussion. It was for me, it was it's enlightening. It's always enlightening to speak to people that are intelligent and that have thought things through and to problem solve with them, to form that kind of partnership where you communicate with them in a way that's a win-win. And I really enjoy that. Now, outside of that, we had a couple of other meetings today. We had a meeting with Lifter LMS, in fact, talking about learning management systems. And so I love working with Lifter. I have shopped around. I've seen the LearnDash route, Bridge, Learn Upon, Moodle. I've looked at a bunch of different ways to host e-learning. And as far as flexibility, budget, and being able to integrate with other tools fairly simply, Lifter LMS is just the winner for me. I've got a lot of projects on Lifter LMS right now. And speaking of those projects, here's another piece of that productivity puzzle for today. If you were here yesterday, I made the announcement and started going a little crazy, making all the social accounts to go with it, both last night and today. But Vaxpreneur is a new project, Vaxpreneur. Now, I want to be careful about this. I had a couple of people, one of which, Stacy. I love that Stacy comments on my YouTube channel. So Stacy, if you're watching, kudos to you. Stacy Stockford is an amazing virtual assistant, and she's really, really skillful in the LinkedIn space. So if you'd like an introduction to Stacy, you just let me know. I'll make sure that happens for you. But Stacy had said, oh, always up to something new. That's great to see, right? Because people see a new announcement or a new project and they go, oh, he's so creative. He's doing new things. Realistically, I'm going to say, yeah, it's creative in the messaging. It's creative in the approach. It's creative, in how I'm trying to attract new customers to the Mañana interface. And I wanted to find a way to pay it forward. Those of you that know my position politically, I really do feel for people that, they chose freedom. They chose to make a choice. There are even some folks that have been vaccinated that have still chosen to leave their employment, kind of as a statement because they feel that convicted about it. And so right now there's a ton of people losing their jobs, leaving their jobs, jobs are liquidating, companies are closing down. There's all kinds of stuff happening right now. And some people are finding themselves in the position of being the unwilling, the hesitant, entrepreneur. Being an entrepreneur wasn't even their plan C, but now here they are sitting at home in their living room, having a couple of days off, since the mandate took effect and going, what am I going to do? Right? You start looking for jobs. Now, newsflash for you here, folks. If you're looking for work, you got to, there's all these questions, right? They're not supposed to be able to ask you for medical information, but they're going to say, well, vaccinations are going to be standard if you have to come to the office. Well, do I have to come to the office? Do I not have to come to the office? Am I going to have to travel for you? What are the airlines going to do? What's going to be the rules on interstate travel a year from now? Everyone's nervous. And that nervousness, that anxiety is creating by default kind of that that gig economy, that contract economy, the self-employment, even if it's not even your plan C, you might be finding yourself in a self-employed situation. And I looked at the idea of Vaxpreneur. So Vaxpreneur is it wasn't your first choice, right? Now you're stuck. You're in this position, and you're like, how do I create a revenue stream out of nothing? What's my next step? How do I do anything? And so I wanted to approach this populace, this group of people, with open arms, and from a position of helping, and say, hey, what are your questions? We can start making some webinar content. If you want to jump into a meeting, what are your questions? And that's what I want to focus on first. I want to grow this community. I want to ask them their questions, and I want to see what value we can add to that community. Extremely budget minded. A lot of these folks don't have, a year's worth of savings sitting in the bank, to spend on a new business venture. They were thinking they were employed. And so I want to make sure that we can help folks, that we can pay it forward. I'm going to invite other professionals to come in and help me with this project. Like, hey, you're an expert on Twitter. I'd love for you to come and speak to this group. You're an expert on TikTok. I'd love for you to come and speak to this group. You're an expert on email list building. I'd like you to come and speak to this group. And over time, I want to build a library of resources for folks that find themselves in this position, but not by design. For instance, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I can't stop new ideas. I can't stop new projects. Vaxpreneur is a perfect example, even though it falls within the wheelhouse of Mañana No Mas's umbrella, right? Even though it's perfectly vertically streamed into to be a project of Mañana No Mas. It's a membership and learning site, and it's going to teach people how to do things. And it's exactly what Mañana No Mas builds for other clients, right? So it's perfectly aligned with what Mañana No Mas does, but it still gets perceived as a new idea just because it's a new approach or it's a new people group that we are targeting. The thing I really want to stress when I keep saying pay it forward or help or add value to, I'm not charging my normal rates to folks that are coming through Vaxpreneur. I'm almost looking at it like I want people to come into Vaxpreneur from a community standpoint, and I want them to be able to share their story. Like, I worked for 14 years as a healthcare provider at this doctor's office, and then this hospital, and then this, and then the COVID mandates came down, and I lost my job, and I was heartbroken. And that I want to hear that story, but I don't want it to stop on that negativity. I want it to story arc up and go, but I got in touch with Vaxpreneur. They showed me how to create a blog. They showed me how to apply my story digitally. They told me how to create a membership site to build a community. They taught me how to market my crafts, market my designs, market my courses, everybody has a story, and everybody, Chris Badgett at Lifter LMS says, he believes that everybody has a course within them. And so if we can help people identify that course, that story that's stuck inside them, and give them a means to produce it and do it on a very economical basis, I really think that we can start to change a little bit of the dynamic that's coming from what I'm calling the Vaxpreneur community. And so to launch this, I announced it yesterday. I've already been working on the website. The website has not launched yet. What I've done in anticipation of the website is I've started to, identify usernames for Vaxpreneur. Vaxpreneur is Facebook, leads you to the Vaxpreneur. Now, the title of the page is called the Hesitant Entrepreneur. The Hesitant Entrepreneur. Facebook wouldn't let me use Vaxpreneur as the title, but they let me use Vaxpreneur as the username. So if you go to facebook.com/Vaxpreneur, you'll come up with our page. Got Vaxpreneur for Twitter and got Vaxpreneur for TikTok and also for Instagram. And so got all those and got them all tied to the main website too. And so now that we've got those tied and we've started to seed a little bit of content into these different properties, over the next week or so, I'll be saying, hey, we're going to launch. And when I launch this project, I'm really depending on this community. And when I say this community, I mean more than the 53 people subscribed to the YouTube channel. I mean everyone that sees these replays in LinkedIn, that sees these replays in Facebook, that sees these replays, as they're shared along the internet. I need everybody to share this. Here's why. No matter where you are politically on the spectrum, and this is what I wanted to be really clear about with this project. This is not a project to, call out Biden and his administration, or to talk about Trump and how he set Biden up to fail, or any of these. It's not a political site. This is very simply, there's a community of people out there that are losing their jobs. Okay. Left, right, center, purple, blue, red, it doesn't matter. There is a community of people out there losing their jobs. And I keep waking up every morning and thinking to myself, what are all those people going to do? What are all those people going to do? And I thought, if there's a resource that we can build, if there's a community that we can build, and we can let people know, hey, you're not alone. You're not alone. There's entrepreneurs all over the place. This might not have been your plan A, your plan B, or your plan C, but let's get you at least pointed in the right direction. Let's get you moving and being productive, and not sitting home, not staring out the window, not drinking alone, and not getting depressed, right? And so honestly, that's kind of where my heart is with this. And I'm really looking forward to community support to help launch this thing. It's weird. I have thousands and thousands and thousands of connections online through all these different channels that I have. But when it comes time to mobilize those thousands of people for a specific cause, I notice it can be very difficult to get people motivated to share or to like or to follow. And this is one of those where we all know somebody that's going to be affected by a Vaxpreneur situation, right? Whether you agree with their decision-making process that put them in that spot or not, they're still a member of your community. They might be a member of your church. They might be a member of your school association. They might be a member of your softball team. They might be a member of someone in your bicycle club. Everybody's going to know somebody that's going to be affected in this way. And so I really want to hold those people up. I want to let them know they're not alone. It's very similar to, if you remember what we did when COVID first broke out, we started that Zoom night out. I haven't done a Zoom night out in months because it seems like everything's open, right? But Zoom night out, when everything was really closed, when stores were closed, bars were closed, restaurants were closed, when everything was closed, we did Zoom night out through Mañana no Mas. And we didn't charge anything for it. It was free, and it was a sales-free zone. We didn't let people come in and pitch people on stuff. We just said, hey, get together, have an adult beverage, jump on screen and tell stories and laugh and giggle and just take the weight off your shoulders. And Vaxpreneur is very much along the same motivations, as in, I want people to come in, I want them to relax, I want them to share their story, I want them to connect with other people. I really want this to be a community. And what I want to see is that, we can come in, and is it going to be free? No. Like, if you need to host a website, you have to pay for hosting. If you want software to build a better website, you're going to need to upgrade your software. The thing is that I've been a WordPress expert for a long time, and I know of a lot of tools that you can plug in, a lot of them for free, to get you going, to get you moving, to get you that next step down the path. And then as you pick up momentum or gain members or gain sales, when you gain revenue in your new endeavor, then you can take some of that revenue, reinvest, and improve your product, right? And so I want to show people how to do that. I want to show people, how do you come up with a business idea? How do you forecast what that business can do? How do you orchestrate a launch of a new project? How do you build something as a proof of concept before you're fully invested and going broke or bankrupt in the family on some weird idea? How do you do a proof of concept first to make sure that it's going to have some stick to it, right? And so those are the things that we want to focus on when we take a look at Vaxpreneur. So as you can see, it's been a pretty classy day. I like what we're doing. So a lot of things going on. The other thing going on is, and I haven't mentioned this in about a week, still making progress on this book. I'm really happy with the way the book is coming out. Whenever you're writing, my first trade book, I have one right here. My first trade book was this, right? Service writing in black and white. And service writing in black and white is a simple, small book, right? I published this book in 2007, the original version of it. The original version was an all red cover with no border, and it was a little bit smaller. And I published that book in 2007. And publishing that book was a life changer for me. And I'm not exaggerating. It's a life changer for me. And, I've had a few more works come out of me since then under other company names, of course, right? Because I worked for Ducati, I worked for Suzuki, and we published a lot of works under those names. So I've gotten used to writing and publishing material. And then with all of the leadership studies and all of the things that I have poured myself into with continuing development, there's always been one angle of leadership that I felt, I'm not going to say was missed, but I don't think was explored much with other authors. And it's one that is near and dear to me. And it's my wife has a saying she says to me all the time. She'll say, it's not all about you. She's not being mean. We're being facetious with each other. But, I'll say, I don't know why that's got to be that way. And she said, well, it's not always all about you. And, over time, when you hear something enough times, it begins to resonate, begins to, knock around in there a little bit. And I've really grown to recognize people do consider me a leader. People do send me email messages. People do call me when they're in a pinch, or ask for my ideas or my opinions. And it gives you that sense of leadership, that sense of mentorship, right? That so hey, I'm a leader. But am I the leader for that person? No, I'm a leader for that person. And once I began to understand that I'm only responsible for the little piece of leadership that person gives me access to, and I talked about this on a live a few times, so I'm not giving away the whole story here, but I consider myself thankful or grateful just that people let me have a seat at the edge. So instead of thinking of myself at the center of the circle and all my followers gathered around me, right? Like I'm at the top of the pyramid and all my people are just looking up at me. A lot of leaders feel that way. A lot of leaders feel like, oh, I'm leading this thing. Look at all my people. And that's not the way it really is, at least in my mind. In my mind, the people that you lead or have influence over, they're in the center. They're the people that are getting your attention. Those are the people that you are serving, right? They're in the center. You're on the outside. You're on the outside looking in. And you're there to kind of, sometimes you jump in and you're alongside of them for a little bit, but you jump back out and you look at what's going on. But you're not the only leader. Around that circle are a bunch of other seats. There's a bunch of other leaders. If I was going to think about challenges, now, I have a site that promotes challenges, right? I consider myself a challenge expert. But if I really wanted to talk about growing challenges, the ideology, the psychology of growing a challenge, I'd go to Pedro Adao. If I can make funnels all day long. If you probably are on a funnel. if you're in my community, you're probably on one of my funnels. And so I can make funnels all day long. But if I'm really going to start to look for leadership, look for mentorship, look for growth in the category of funnels, I'd check with Russell Brunson. If I wanted to have a conversation about confidence and leadership from a confidence perspective and mindset, I'd probably look towards Tony Robbins, right? And so so I consider myself a leader, right? So what's my circle look like? Well, if I'm in my circle, right, as the person, if not the leader, if I'm in there and I got Pedro Adao and Russell Brunson, and I'll put Dave Gambrill in there too, Dave Gambrill and Tony Robbins, and so I've got this circle of people, and they all have their message that focuses in on me and helps me to grow, right? And just like I'm happy to have a seat at the edge of someone else's circle, I'm sure Tony, Russell, and the guys are pleased to have a seat on my circle. And those circles kind of interact like bubbles and kind of intersect over different circles, which is really kind of fun for me. Anyway, I'm writing a whole book down on a theory of that, and it's coming out really well. It's getting close to getting done. And so as that gets closer and closer, I'll be making more launch messages for it, letting you know where you can get it, how you can see it. And I'm also going to solicit from you guys, for those of you that are regulars here, I'm going to ask you to contact me on the Mañana No Mas website, or put a comment in on this YouTube stream. If you're watching it on YouTube, use the comments, but jump in. And if I have inspired you in any way through a sense of leadership, I'd love to have that story. I'd love to have an excerpt from someone to put into the book. I'd like to have like a little collection of those to put into the book. And then the other thing would be, you know, if you had to think about your leaders or what your circle looks like, who would be the leaders that sit on your circle? That would be really cool to know. All right, folks, I think that just about does it for me. We're going to get ready to take Hayden to his youth service, and then my wife and I got a class to go to. So I really do honestly hope and pray that you're having a great day. It's hump day. I hope your voice is in better shape than mine is. And folks, I know that tomorrow is Thursday. We're going to finish the week strong. We're going to run the race hard and finish strong. And for folks that I have been contacting through the Power Sport Academy, the big news with Power Sport Academy is, you know, I'm putting together some really enticing packages for Black Friday. And Black Friday for the Power Sport Academy is like the month of November. It's not one day. And so I'm really putting together some attractive packages, and I'm going to be hitting that hard with some of the dealers. Now, if I haven't called you yet, you may get a phone call from me or from one of my assistants, because we are going to do everything we can to get as many dealers into this program before the end of the year. All right.